Go. Protect your privacy for free with DuckDuckGo.
I feel like I'm being haunted by a pair of headphones. Everywhere I go is a creepy ad for headphones I looked at one time. I hate that feeling like I'm being watched. I downloaded DuckDuckGo and saw a difference right away. Take back your privacy online with DuckDuckGo. Privacy simplified.
From the Ingalls Studios, this is ESPN Asheville, WPEK, W225CJ Fairview, WMXF Waynesville, and iHeart Radio Station.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
And welcome back into the Sportsocracy here on ESPN Asheville. And we are in the Ingalls studio. Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene here, and it is time for another mock draft.
This one's live because Deshaun Watson screwed my whole day up.
Yeah, it's time for another post-Deshaun Watson mock draft here in the Sportsocracy. And, you had everything laid out, everything all ready to go, assuming that it was going to be Atlanta. And now things have changed with Deshaun Watson choosing to go to the Cleveland Browns, and the Browns coming with a 5-pick package that the Houston Texans just could not say no to.
Well, I mean, the package was always going to be what it was. So, yeah, Deshaun ends up in Cleveland, and that screwed the mock-up. So we're doing it live.
All right, let's do it live. Number 1 overall pick belongs to the Jacksonville Jaguars for the second year in a row.
And Deshaun Watson didn't screw this up. With the first pick in the 2022 NFL live mock draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trayvon Walker from Georgia. I didn't have him in the first round. I still don't think he should. But he's gonna. After the 4.51 40 that he ran at the combine, everybody has gone crazy and went, well, this guy has the size, he has the speed, he has the moves of being a great pass rusher in this league. As a Georgia fan, okay. I mean, I like the kid. He's fine. But number 1 overall seems insane to me. It is insane to me. I mean, absolutely, patently insane. But I've heard through the entire process there's no player that the Jacksonville Jaguars love. They love Trayvon Walker. And you're not going to find – look, every team in the top 10 wants to trade out. All of them. You're not finding a deal up there. I would wager there will not be a trade in the top 10. Any movement that was going to happen has already happened.
Okay. All right, so there's your number 1 pick, Trayvon Walker, the 4th string edge rusher from Georgia. Awesome.
People are in love with this kid. He blew up the combine, and this is a beauty is in the eye of the beholder draft. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville doesn't like Thibodeau, who is, to me, the best player in this draft. They're not sold on Aiden Hutchinson. They've, in their mind, addressed the offensive line, and they're not going to use them 1 overall pick on a right tackle, which is what Evan Neal would be.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at right now.
I think
from
this
what
is
I've
more.
been told, it's down to 2. It's either Trayvon Walker or Aiden Hutchinson. If they had to do it today, it would be Trayvon Walker.
Part of me wants to believe that this is more Jeremy just trying to speak it into existence after he laid down on plus 2,200 that Trayvon Walker would be the first pick of the draft.
Sure did. Don't feel bad about it. Might do it again.
And would encourage you to do the same. Number 2 pick.
Vegas is giving you free money. It's either Aiden Hutchinson or Trayvon Walker. You throw $500 on both of them, you're going to come out just fine.
Number 2 pick belongs to the Detroit Lions.
And this is one that I've heard for so long, and I love this kid. But God bless America, I couldn't take him at 2. With the second pick in the 2022 live NFL mock draft following the Deshaun Watson trade, the Detroit Lions select Drake London, wide receiver, USC.
What are you smoking? Seriously?
I'm not making the pick. I'm just telling you where everybody's at right now.
So if it had to come down to today was draft day, the Detroit Lions would select Drake London,
They
number
think he's
2.
Mike Evans. And you know what? I don't disagree with him.
Okay.
And if that's what you believe, that's the player you take it to.
Agreed.
Straight up. If you believe that, that's who you take it to.
Absolutely. No other player in NFL history has started a career like Mike Evans has with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 8 straight 1,000-yard consecutive seasons. If you believe this is the guy, then okay. You go out on that limb, and now you've got Drake London and Amon-Ra St. Brown
And DJ
forever.
Chark.
And now you've got DJ Chark on a 1-year deal. Who knows if it's if it works out? Will he be brought back by Detroit when they get their quarterback next year in the draft, or however they're going to find a quarterback? Who knows? At number 3, the Houston Texans.
And I believe Houston would happily trot their happy asses up to the podium.
No doubt.
With the third pick in the 2022 live Sportsocracy mock draft following the Deshaun Watson trade, the Houston Texans select Aiden Hutchinson, edge, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I can't understand. He's the safest player in this draft by a great deal.
Okay. I thought you said Ike Ekwonu was the
It depends on how you play him.
Okay.
Give me a minute. I'll get there.
Okay. All right.
And yet nobody seems to love him. There are a lot of teams that are in like with him. Not many that are in love with him. The two teams I have been told were really put off by Kayvon Thibodeau were the Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that's why I don't have him in the top 3. Now, do I think he's going to fall to 10? No. I think that's stupid. I think that's insanity. He's too good to fall that far. But Aiden Hutchinson's safe. Houston needs players. And I think he fits into damn near any scheme. I really do. I think he can do damn near anything you ask him to do.
I don't know why you believe Houston needs players. I mean, look at the offseason they've had. They
have more signings. Rex Burkhead.
Yeah, they have more signings than anybody in the NFL again. And you haven't heard of half of them.
Yeah, I don't understand what Houston's doing. I really don't. If somebody does something super off the wall, I won't be shocked if it's them.
Yeah.
And what could that be? Taking Trevor Penning at 3 or something just insane like that.
Ahmad Gardner
at 3 is not insane.
It's not?
No.
Okay.
Because I'll be honest with you, I considered him at 4.
For your New York Jets.
Because I know my Jets, Jets love him. But they love him at 10.
Yeah.
Not at 4.
All right. Who do they love at number 4?
With the 4th pick in the 2022 live Sportsocracy post Deshaun Watson mock draft, the New York Jets select Kayvon Thibodeau, edge rusher, Oregon.
And that's one of those you run your happy ass to the podium to go get that.
The Jets have been absolutely obsessed with adding an edge rusher. And this is how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, he's the best player in this draft, talent-wise. Now, he's a bit of a head case. There's some inconsistent tape. There are, if you want to find reasons to not like him, he gives you plenty. The thing is, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Jets fan. I'm saying this because it's the first time I've been able to say it in 20 fucking years. Joe Douglas is doing an absurdly good job putting this team together. I've loved virtually everything they've done in free agency. You had 2 tight ends in Uzomah and Tyler Conklin to make life easier on Zach Wilson, Laken Tomlinson, adding DJ Reed, who I'm pretty bullish on.
Mm-hmm. Jordan Whitehead, who's the thumper safety.
You still need a free safety.
We'll get there.
I'll get to that in a minute. I'm just impressed. I'm not. Now, look, you're still the 4th worst team in the AFC. And I don't think it's going to change. You're a year away from that changing. But Kayvon Thibodeau would be a damn good addition to that defense, which will be drastically better than it was last year.
Agreed. All right, so the Jets pick up Kayvon Thibodeau at 4. That puts the Giants on the clock at number 5.
This is the first pick that somebody just jumps up and goes, "Fuck yeah!" and runs out of their shoes to get to the podium. With the 5th pick in the 2022 Sportsocracy Live post Deshaun Watson mock draft, the New York Giants select Ikem Ekwonu.
From number 1.
Offensive lineman, NC State.
Yep. From number 1 to number 5. And just a matter of, 2 weeks?
And look, I never loved him at 1. I've never loved him not being anything but a right tackle or a guard.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look at what the Giants have done, they're all in on being able to run the ball. So you add Ekwonu, who I know, worst case scenario, let's say he comes in and just gets his fucking eardrums beat out at right tackle. You still have Matt Pert, who he was not great last year, but he's serviceable. Mm-hmm. And you can put Aquanu in the middle with John Feliciano and my brain blanked on the other interior offensive lineman that they signed. And now you can run the ball. I can't tell you that you're going to be able to throw it to save your lives because you got Daniel Jones behind this line. But it's certainly a start. And with the Giants, that seems to be a focus. Mark Glowinski. Mark Glowinski's the other one. So you have Feliciano at center and Glowinski at right guard, and then you can play Ike Aquanu at left guard. I think they would start him at right tackle. And then you've got a line that I'm not going to lie to you is pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. You got a line that's pretty damn good, especially if they play the way they played last year. So I was dead set that the Giants were going to go double up offensive linemen. I am no longer there. So their second pick is the last one that didn't get fucked up by the Deshaun Watson deal.
At number 6, the Carolina Panthers on the clock.
I think this is the best case scenario for Carolina. I really do. With the 6th pick in the 2022 Sportsocracy Live post-Deshaun Watson mock draft, Carolina Panthers select Evan Neal, offensive tackle, Alabama.
They absolutely have to add to the offensive line. That's the number one thing that we have been screaming for years about them. This ain't the draft to take a quarterback. As much as you may want them to take a quarterback, it ain't the one to do at 6. If you can trade down and you can get a deal.
There is no quarterback you can take at 6. If you take Kenny Pickett, everybody in this industry is going to laugh you out of the fucking building. So this is one of those times that, look, I did Adam Gold's show, the North Carolina statewide show. We were talking about David Tepper. David Tepper is doing exactly what new owners in the NFL do, and they do it constantly. The question is, do they ever grow out of it? I got to have the new shiny toy. I got to have something to fast. Think of every owner that's bought a team. They all do it. Mm-hmm. The good ones grow out of it, and I think David Tepper can do that. But look at what adding Evan Neal would put this line at. All right, you would have Evan Neal on the left side, Taylor Moton on the right.
Yep.
Bradley Bozeman at center, Austin Corbett, Cam Irving at guard. That's light years better than what you had last year. Light years.
No doubt.
Which tells me that the one that's making these moves is Scott Fitterer because Matt Rule ain't smart enough to put a team together like this. I think it's a best-case scenario for Carolina. That gives you a starter on that line for 10 years. Do I think there's a possibility he has to move to the right side? I do. But I think that's down the line. Mm-hmm. I think he will be a serviceable it could be a very good left tackle. I don't think he'll ever be great. But I'm going to be really honest with you. Jordan Gross wasn't great. Jordan Gross was very good.
Yeah.
He was never Joe Thomas. There's a revisionist history that's what he was. He was very good.
I mean, he was to the Carolina Panthers fans.
And that's the point. I think that's what Evan Neal can be. Everybody freaks out because, we're going to take a lineman in the top 5 and he's not going to be a Pro Bowler, a consummate Pro Bowler. Okay. Is he better than Cameron Irving being your left tackle?
No doubt. Is he better than Brady Christensen?
And Brady Christensen in this scenario would be your 6th swing lineman.
Which is a great depth piece to have.
100%.
I'm not trying to throw shade at the kid.
And if somebody gets hurt, then you got a plug-and-play starter at damn near any position on the line.
All right, the New York Giants up again at number 7 overall.
This one makes me want to yell obscenities because I hate the Giants. With the 7th pick in the final graphic we're going to have because Deshaun Watson fucked my whole day up.
Yeah.
Post Deshaun Watson mock draft, the New York Giants select Sauce Gardner, cornerback, Cincinnati.
This is the terrifying cornerback that they were hoping that DeAndre Baker would turn into a couple of years ago.
Well, and this is also, I don't think James Bradbury is going to be on this team. You can't pay him, I think it's $21.5 million. They've been trying to trade him for days, and I think they're eventually going to find a suitor because he's the cornerback market's killed. And everybody needs one. It's just a question of, can you find a team that'll give you a 5 for him? Will he restructure his deal to facilitate that? I think he will. And Ahmad Gardner is he's one of the few no-doubt players in this draft. Mm-hmm. There is no shot he doesn't come in and within a year, top 15 best player at his position. And he's practically the only player I can say that about. I love the kid.
Yeah.
I don't know what took anybody else so fucking long to figure it out. I've had Sauce Gardner in the top 10 for as long as I can remember. Mm-hmm. Everybody else, Derek Stingley's better. Okay. Yeah, you started watching that tape, didn't you?
I was really excited early in the NFL season when the mock draft started coming out because he was at the bottom of the first round, and he was mocked several times to my team.
And
I was
is
happy.
stupid.
I was super happy about that because I knew he was better than that. I didn't know that he would rise to the level of a top 10 pick, but here we are. Number 7 overall to the New York Giants, Ahmad Gardner out of Cincinnati. Now, after they lost out on Deshaun Watson, what do the Atlanta Falcons do with the 8th pick?
And I'm going to be honest with you. I originally had this pick going to the Houston Texans. And the more I've thought about it, the more I'm not sure that they wouldn't take the same player that Houston would have.
Okay.
And I'm going to explain this before I hit the button. You have to understand that beauty is very much in the eye of the beholder. And there's not a lot of superstar potential in this draft. You've added Casey Hayward. You've already got A.J. Terrell. You have to look around and go, okay, what could Atlanta do? Ideally, they would love to take Drake London. Well, here's the problem. He ain't here. You have 2 second-round picks. What a receiver is very, very deep. You know what position is not deep? That hybrid Tyrann Mathieu safety, move around, play in the slot, do all kinds of shit position.
Mm-hmm.
So I've thought about it. I've looked down going, okay, who could you possibly take? Nope, I'm going to leave it the way it was. With the 8th pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson mock draft, the Atlanta Falcons. So, I got to hit that button. Select Derek Stingley Jr. I'm going to say the same thing about Stingley that I've said about Kayvon Thibodeau. The hate gets to a stupid point. Eventually, you get to a point where it's dumb. For the long term, having Sauce and having Stingley, and A.J. Terrell, that's your cornerback pairing.
Mm-hmm.
Casey Hayward was a low risk, was it $6.5 million signing?
Something like that.
It's for 1 year. You do still have Tom Brady in this division. You do still have Jameis Winston in this division.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a Carolina team that's going to have weapons. So, David Ajabo got hurt today. I had to place him in. I considered him here. I just don't think you can take him at 8. I don't think if you're Atlanta, you're in a position where you missed out on Deshaun Watson, where you can start going off the board. And to me, anything going off the board, I'm just looking at players that I considered Nakobe Dean. I considered Devin Lloyd. I considered Kyle Hamilton. The problem is I don't think Kyle Hamilton fits in the scheme. And I'm kind of convinced this is the way they would go.
Okay.
Derek Stingley's the best player on the board. And that's if you're Atlanta, your holes are your holes. You can't take a receiver here. Now, if somebody would trade down with you, more power to you.
Right.
There's nobody that's going to do that. It is what it is.
So the Atlanta Falcons get Derek Stingley Jr. at number 8.
And now, all of a sudden, you have a secondary that is incredibly daunting.
Let me ask you this before we move on. They already have 2 corners.
Yeah.
Why would this not be Kyle Hamilton?
Because I don't think Kyle Hamilton fits that scheme.
Okay.
I mean, you got to remember, this is a Dean Pease scheme. This is New England, basically. Does Kyle Hamilton fit in New England?
No.
No. Because he's a gigantic fucker. There's one, and look, Kyle Hamilton's going to fall further than you think, and there's one very specific reason. Because I don't see him playing safety in the NFL. He's too big. And he didn't run particularly well. Look, I understand the tape. He's still a fucking safety. That's just the way it is.
Okay.
He's still a safety or a hybrid linebacker, and he's going to be in a very specific scheme. And that's why he's going to fall to not this pick, but one very close to it.
Coming up pretty soon. Number 9, the Seattle Seahawks on the board.
This is not affected by Baker Mayfield in the least, because what I think they're going to do is give up a conditional 3 for Baker for 1 year to see if he's the guy. And then with the 9th pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson mock draft, the Seattle Sea Chickens select Malik Willis, quarterback out of Liberty.
Okay.
I've said this no less than 100 times. He doesn't need to play this year. If he plays this year, you're doing it wrong because you will break him in nothing flat because he's going from a very rudimentary college offense into the NFL. Baker's not your long-term guy. You know that. But Seattle is looking around the NFC going, we're better than half the teams in this conference solely because half of them suck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a half of the NFC that is brutally bad. And Malik Willis has the upside to be a long-term starter in this league. You're just going to have to be patient. Ideally, you would like to move down from here. Ain't nobody moving up to this.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody moving up for a safety.
And Malik Willis comes in with immediate targets. And DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
The offense is built nicely for him, and the line is getting better. But you're not there yet. If you put Malik Willis out on the field behind this line, and with everything the way it's set up now, he will die in half a year.
So why not use, the guinea pig of Baker Mayfield?
Yeah, you trot Baker out there. If he's god-awful, you can chuck Malik Willis out there for the last 6 games of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And Eric Miller, one of our resident Seahawk fans, is like, fortify the line. Okay, let me ask you a question. Dwayne Brown's probably going to end up back in Seattle. I almost see no way that he doesn't because they're one of the few teams left that have considerable money.
Yep.
And I think you're going to get him at a steal because none of the teams that still have money want him. So where do you go from there? All right, who's the square peg in that square hole? I mean, I'm looking at Seattle's offensive line as we speak. All right, so and I'm penciling in Dwayne Brown. You got Stone Forsythe that you took last year that you really like, that's going to play on the right side. Austin Blythe, who you signed this year to play center. Gabe Jackson.
Gabe Jackson.
For some reason, it didn't sound right in my head. Gabe Jackson's playing right tackle, and then you've got Damian Lewis on the left side. Who are you going to take here? I mean, you going to take a left tackle?
This would be a Trevor Penning spot, a Charles Cross.
And Charles, there's a lot of negative on Charles Cross. I thought about that. If it were me, I might do that. But I don't know when I'm going to get the shot at a Malik Willis again.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, it's a 1 quarterback draft. It's Bryce Young. That's it. And I'm not dead sold on him. When you get the opportunity to take quarterback, you better do it. Drew Lock ain't the guy. Baker Mayfield ain't the guy. You got to get a long-term guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with Malik Willis is that it's a long-term play. And so to me, with Seattle, it makes all the sense in the world.
Okay. So that's first quarterback off the board, Malik Willis out of Liberty at number 9 to the Seattle Seahawks. Now comes the Jets at 10.
Give you one guess. And he's going to play linebacker. With the 10th pick in the 2022 Sportsocracy post-Deshaun Watson mock draft, the New York Jets select Kyle Hamilton, safety, Notre Dame. I think he's safety linebacker. There have been a lot more questions about him. I'm going to be honest with you. If the draft falls this way, I'm not positive the Jets take him. I'm not positive he doesn't fall further than this.
Mm-hmm.
And this might be a little bit of a homer going, well, that's who I would take.
Right.
And I know Robert Saleh really likes him a lot and sees him as a linebacker that he can play next to C.J. Mosley and play in that Fred Warner role. You got to understand, think of every safety that's gone in the top 10 in the last, I'll go 10 years.
Okay.
Virtually every one of them has been a bust.
Yeah.
Virtually every one of them has been a bust.
Mark Barron's coming to mind.
Mark Barron was he was one that fits that.
He was like 8, I think, to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that year.
I'm trying to find the list. Last year there wasn't one.
Mm-hmm.
The year before that there wasn't one. The last one that went in the first round was Darnell Savage. Disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Abram. Disaster. Jamal Adams. Disaster.
Hey, you got 2 first-round picks out of it.
What a disaster for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Disaster for Seattle. Minka Fitzpatrick and Derwin James.
Mm-hmm.
Be real honest. Minka was god-awful last year. He was god-awful. And Derwin James has had injury problems.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I ain't faulting you for taking Derwin James. Derwin James is a very good player. I like him a lot more with J.C. Jackson and Asante Samuel in front of him than I've ever liked him before.
Mm-hmm.
It's a luxury. Malik Hooker. and I keep doing this, safety is just a position that in the NFL does not get the same love that it used to.
Right.
In the comments, Rob Johnson asked about C.J. Stroud. Every scout I've talked to likes him less than I do because he had 4 high-level targets, and there were still times he didn't look like an NFL quarterback. Somebody will fall in love with him. I'm not saying they won't.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of guys that you feel really good about, Bryce Young's the only one that you feel really good about, and I don't.
Right.
I look at Kyle Hamilton and go, you need to be an outside linebacker in a 4-3. That's where you're at. I think you can be a Fred Warner, which is why a team like the Jets is going to value you. If the Jets don't take him, I genuinely think he would fall to the Eagles at 19.
Yikes.
That's how far I think Kyle Hamilton could fall in this draft. I don't agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
I like him a lot. I just get conflicting. He's a safety. I've been told that more than once. He's a safety. It's hard for me to get real revved up about a safety.
At number 11, the Washington Commanders.
I don't think Commander fans are going to love this until I explain why you should love this. With the 11th pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson trade mock draft live from the Sportsocracy, the Washington Commanders select Nakobe Dean, linebacker, Georgia. This is the guy that calls your defense.
Mm-hmm.
And now you can take that unbelievable, unmitigated fucking disaster that was your first overall pick last, or your 20th overall pick last year. You move him to, he can play Sam, he can play Will, whatever you need him to do. He's not the signal caller. That's not what he is.
Mm-hmm.
He's Patrick Queen. And I know Stephen Tow's in the comments. He's a Baltimore Raven fan. Pittsburgh Steelers fans. You can say the same thing about Devin Bush. I watch teams fuck this up constantly because you put the tackle machine, the Joe Schobert, next to guys like this. It doesn't work that way. You need another athletic guy that can cover up some of the. Jamin Davis got drafted in the top 20 because he's an athletic freak of nature, not because he's very football smart. All right, I said last year he's 5th round pick to me. He's 5th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, he is hyper athletic. Can play a lot in nickel. I think if you've got him next to Nakobe Dean, now you have something defensively. I still like the secondary, even without Landon Collins. I think Washington's defense is fine. But you're going to have to rearrange some deck chairs here because the way it was laid out last year, it didn't work. And it didn't work because the guy calling your signals was lost the vast majority of the time.
Right.
I could count on one hand the number of linebackers that were more poorly graded than him last year. To me, this is a 2-for-1.
Yeah.
You draft a player, and it gets out of another player what you expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Do I love having 2 first-round picks wrapped up in linebackers? No, I don't. Where else you going to go? What else you going to do? You going to add a corner right here?
Well, if
you already got plenty of money wrapped up in that.
Well, as you said, if the Jets had passed on Kyle Hamilton, I would think that would be a decent pick for Washington to make. Because last year they did kind of reinvent that defense late in the year and had Landon Collins playing in that linebacker slot next to Jamin Davis, and it started to turn things around.
And here's the problem with that. Now you've got the guy that's the signal caller, and he's learning how to play middle linebacker that he's never played in his life next to a guy that already doesn't really know how to play middle linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
That has, oh, great, now we fucked them both up, written all over it. Nakobe Dean that's one of the players that everybody in this industry loves. He's a little short. Woo. He plays like a missile. And I feel like, going in, we're a little limited offensively. And I'm sure there's some people that say go receiver. You've already got money wrapped up in Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin. How many receivers do people think you need?
Mm-hmm.
Especially in an offense that's going to run like this.
You need at least 5.
That's hell. Apparently, Tampa thinks they need 17.
Right?
It's hell. We'll get Julio Jones. We'll dig up
We'll
Calvin
draft
Johnson.
One. Yeah.
I don't see that as their biggest need. And this is a super deep receiver draft. You can wait until day 3 and get a guy that's going to be valuable. Oh, yeah, by the way, you still have De'Ami Brown, too.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that didn't go away. That was a second-round pick you used last year. So they're expecting bigger things out of him. He just had to learn how to run an NFL route tree because he didn't do that at Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Number 11, the Washington Commanders go with Nakobe Dean, out of Georgia. Number 12 belongs to the Minnesota Vikings.
And this is one I can't get away from. This didn't change either with the Deshaun Watson move. But I will say that after this, then it gets a little
hairy.
Number 12, the Minnesota Vikings. With the number 12 selection of the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson trade mock draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Jermaine Johnson, edge, Florida State. How do you not do this?
Mm-hmm.
This is a scheme fits perfect. I mean, it's perfect. On the opposite side of Danielle Hunter, you've still got Dalvin Tomlinson on the inside. This is probably my favorite pick in the first round.
Your favorite pick in the first round?
Probably my favorite pick in the first round.
Okay.
But Jermaine Johnson's one of those guys that if he goes to the wrong scheme, I'm going to hate it. If you expect him to stand up, you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I've already seen it. I've seen him try to do it, and it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be patient, sure. They need somebody to get after the quarterback right now. And Jermaine Johnson's that guy.
Yep.
And this gives them this takes some of the heat off that secondary.
Yeah, he absolutely dominated tackles in the ACC all year long. Again, a guy who barely could get on the field for Georgia and transferred to Florida State and became the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. I agree with you fully. Hand in the dirt, that's where he belongs, and he will tear up some tackles in the NFL as well, just like he did at Florida State in the ACC. Now at number 13, the Cleveland Browns had this pick. It now belongs to the Houston Texans after the Deshaun Watson trade.
I'm going to have to put a logo over this, but the more I've thought about it,
Same guy.
This kind of still makes sense. With the 13th pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson mock draft, the Houston Texans select Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State. Can you name me the receivers that would start for the Houston Texans right now?
You got Brandon Cooks,
who won't be on this team.
Oh, he's going to be traded?
He will be traded. I won't be shocked if Laramie Tunsil is too.
You got Nico Collins, who they drafted last year.
That is one of them. Who's the slot guy? If you get this right, I will be dumbfounded.
It's not Kiki Kuti.
Nope.
So I don't know.
It's Chris Moore.
Chris Moore.
They're very bad in the weapons category. And look, for better or worse, they genuinely believe in Davis Mills. This is not mouthwords memory times. They didn't want Baker Mayfield because they like Davis Mills better. And I don't think they're wrong. There's a reason that the nickname of Garrett Wilson is the natural. Because he just does everything well.
Mm-hmm.
I have had reservations about a lot of his best plays at Ohio State were when shit broke down. That makes me a little nervous. It doesn't change the fact that he's still a very good route runner. He's still a very good hand catcher of the football. And he would be the one in Houston. I do think they ship out Brandon Cooks. That's just been a weird, disjointed relationship for a while. And he does still have value. I could see that being on draft day moved for a 4, conditional 4 that could turn into a 3.
Okay.
Something of that nature.
You're discounting my man Chris Conley. He's on that staff too, or that core, the wide receiver core.
I wasn't discounting him, and I didn't forget him. I didn't care.
That's where he belongs. All right. At number 14.
The Fighting Stephen Towles.
Oh, the Baltimore Ravens.
I'll bet you $1 a dick hole you can tell me what this is going to be.
Yeah, because he already said it in the comments. Just go ahead.
With the 14th pick in the post-Deshaun Watson mock draft from thesportsocracy.com, the Baltimore Ravens select Jordan Davis, the big, gigantic human from Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Absolute beast of a man, fleet of foot as well. We saw him run at the combine and blew everybody away. And then when it came to the pro day, nobody had anything negative to say about it. In fact, there were more positives about his ability to shuffle on the line and get in position. This guy's incredible.
He's a freak of nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to be honest with you. There have been a lot of people that say, oh, he can't be a pass rusher in the NFL. I'm not as dead sold on that as I was. He wasn't asked to do that. he was asked to be a run-clogging D tackle. So he's asked to do. There were a slew of pass rushers around him. If there's a team that can get the most out of him, it's Baltimore. I understand they just re-signed Michael Pierce. I'm not sure that they can't play together. Because I'll be honest with you, the more I've thought about it, I could see a path where, look, we shoehorn 340-pound defensive linemen in as nose tackles. This kid's athletic enough. I'm not sure he doesn't play on the outside of a 3-4 like Aaron Donald does. And I could see a path. There was a time that people didn't think much of Aaron Donald because he was too short. I'm not telling you that Jordan Davis is going to be Aaron Donald. I'm telling you he is not going to fall past 15. And I don't see how Baltimore lets him go.
He also, not only does he have the speed, but he's also just got that brute strength.
He does.
To be able to blow up centers.
And
off
I mean,
the
look,
ball.
there's a possibility that you could take a corner. I think this is too high for any of the corners, especially for a defense where Jordan Davis is such a good fit. And there are corners that you can have in the second, third round. Interior defensive line dies. There are a handful of guys that go in the first 2 days. This is the best one by quite a bit.
At number 15, here's back-to-back picks coming up for the Philadelphia Eagles.
And I have to be careful here because this kid did just get hurt at his pro day, and I don't know how bad it is.
Yeah.
I don't think, short of he completely blew out his knee, it would move him from this spot. It could. And I'll tell you who it would be in place of him once we do this. With the 15th pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson NFL mock draft, Philadelphia Eagles select David Ojabo. They need an edge. And I'm just looking down the list here. There's such a discrepancy between Ojabo and the next edge rusher. Not necessarily to me, but to the industry, because there's one that people have going way higher than he's going to go, and I can't tell you that I understand why, but he's going to fall further than you think. And Ojabo is just that raw, natural pass rusher. All right, let's say he is hurt. Let's say he's going to miss his rookie year. He was a raw project anyway. You can get him in the building, mental reps, and you got 3 first-round picks. Where this would probably change is they would not take him at 15, they would take him at 19.
Right.
Does another team feel the urge to take him? If they do, okay, then we'll flex. That's probably what would have changed. But I still believe in Ojabo. I think he's a very good pass rusher. I think he's a very good raw pass rusher. And there's a lot more to be had. And he fits in Philadelphia quite nicely.
Yeah, I could see them definitely starting off their 3-pick bonanza here between 15 and 19 with a wide receiver or somebody
They're
that's
not taking a wide receiver. You say that every time we do this. They're not taking a receiver with one of these picks.
Why not?
A, they have a lot invested in receiver as it is. B, they have a quarterback that can't fucking throw.
You got to put people around him that can catch, though.
I mean, you have 3. So you got Quez Watkins. You're paying a fuckload for Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, and by the way, you still have Jalen Reagor. I know he's hurt all the time. How much capital do you think you're going to put into receiver when you have a quarterback that can't throw?
See, I've been shocked that they haven't tried to move Reagor.
Who would take him? He's hurt all the time. And receiver is deep as shit. Like, what receiver would you take here?
Hell, I don't know.
Chris Olave, who's the exact same player that you have in Devontae Smith.
Olave or Jamison Williams.
Who's hurt. And he's a deep ball guy with a quarterback that can't throw.
Well, that's what Quez Watkins is.
Yeah, but Quez is at least a 3 that nobody pays attention to. They're like, that guy hadn't caught a pass in 4 weeks. Oh, fuck. There he went.
Exactly. I would not be shocked to see them wait on an edge rusher just to see how things pan out. That's where I was headed with that. So David Ojabo goes at 15.
Yep.
Number 16, also belonging to the Philadelphia Eagles.
With the 16th pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson mock draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Devin Lloyd, linebacker, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people were kind of disturbed by how slowly he ran at the combine. I wasn't. I don't care. People get really up in arms about how fast you can straight line run. As a linebacker, I don't give a shit. How often am I asking my middle linebacker to dead sprint across the field? It's not that often. Devin Lloyd, short area burst, phenomenal. I think this is the signal caller of your defense. It adds something to the pass rush, and it helps Ajabo. Because now you got a guy behind you that I feel really, really good about. I like Devin Lloyd a lot. I think his drop dead spot's probably the Cowboys. I don't think he's falling further than that.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some people pushing him down just because, he's ran so slow. I don't care. You know what fast linebacker gets you? Oh, look how fast he is. Blake Cashman. Do you know that name?
Mm-hmm.
The Houston Texans just traded a 6 for him, and I'm still dumbfounded by that. You could have had him for nothing because he, A, can't stay healthy, and B, sucks a lot. Jamin Davis, a guy we talked about extensively earlier.
Mm-hmm.
If your greatest asset as a linebacker is how fast you are, you're probably not very good. Devin Lloyd's a football player and a hard-nosed, downhill, badass, old-school linebacker, and I absolutely love him.
At number 17, the Los Angeles Chargers looking to make a move on top of all of the moves they've already made in this offseason.
If you're a Charger hater, this is just going to piss you off. With the 17th pick in the post-Deshaun Watson trade 2022 NFL mock draft from thesportsocracy.com, the Los Angeles Chargers. Whoop, that's the wrong button. That's not the right button. Well, do. All right, that was cool. I don't quite know how that happened. Take Charles Cross, offensive tackle, Mississippi State.
Charles Cross, who I thought at one point was destined to be in the top 5, top 10 definitely of this draft, but now has fallen to 17.
He's a right tackle for the Chargers. This is a value pick. Now you have a hole on the right side, and I like this kid a lot. And this gives you a very multiple offensive line. This gives you a very mobile offensive line. There's a lot to like here. I know a lot of people think they're going to take a receiver at 17. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. I never had. Never have. A, receiver is really deep. B, you did just invest in Josh Palmer, and they like him a lot.
See, I had always thought this was going to be a defensive tackle. We couldn't get away from, or you couldn't get away from in your previous mock drafts of giving them Jordan Davis.
Well,
but then they went
Sebastian Joseph Day on one of the great value deals of free agency because the Chargers have just crushed the offseason.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, this is one of those look, Curtis Davis said that's a weird way to spell Jameson Williams. Jameson Williams is not far away. But I don't see, and this is just me, I don't see in a draft where I have 20-some-odd receivers that have first, second, or third round grades. I do not see how that's your biggest need. To me, you need a right tackle more than you need anything, and I got news for you. You're not getting one with your next pick.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a receiver in the second round, which, by the way, I did have them taking a receiver in the second round. But I don't think they're taking a receiver at 17. I hear it a lot, and it's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Especially if it falls this way and Jameson Williams on the board, because that one makes sense.
Right. Well, it's because they just signed big money, or just gave big money to Mike Williams.
Well, you're already paying $42 million total to receivers.
That sounds about right. Because you got Keenan Allen, who I guess you would start the process of looking for his replacement down the road. Jalen Guyton and Jordan Palmer are fine. Josh Palmer.
Jordan Palmer was the Bachelor.
That's right. I forgot about that. Josh Palmer and Jalen Guyton are fine, but they're not great receivers.
No, they're not.
And so that's why
very
people
serviceable.
But that's why people have them wanting to take a superstar here, because this is what you do in the NFL now, right? You do the LA Rams thing. You do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers thing. You get all the weapons you possibly can. And I think fantasy football has a lot to do with it.
It does. It 100% does.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand, your third receiver. Let's play a game. All right, just I want to prove a point.
Okay.
Keep talking. I got it.
About what? About the third receiver?
Whatever the fuck you want to. You can talk about your bowel movements for all. Well, please don't do that. That'd be weird.
That would be weird.
That would be
I don't think people need to know about any of that.
All right, how many? Jalen Guyton played predominantly as the 3 last year.
Yes.
How many snaps did he play total?
I don't know, 120.
You are so bad at this game.
I have no idea.
6-12.
Okay.
If you break that down, it's about 30 plays a game. You want to use a 17th pick on a player you're going to play 30 snaps a game?
Mm-hmm.
Do you? No. No. You don't take a third fucking receiver in the first round. That's the way I look at it. Now, you want to play Rams fantasy football and have Odell Beckham as your fork? Cool. You're going to see why that's a bad idea, and I don't think it's going to take that long for you to see it. I understand why people want him, especially after he got hurt. You have absolutely no idea what that kid's going to be. He was a speed burner. If he lost 0.2 of a second off his 40 time, he's half the player he was beforehand. There was 1 year of good tape. Now he's got an injury history. There's a lot more negative to Jameson Williams than people think.
All right, so the 17th pick goes to the Chargers, and Charles Cross, the offensive tackle out of Mississippi State, is the pick. At number 18, the New Orleans Saints.
Let's hope this one doesn't do that same weird shit that the last one did. This is one of my secret low-key. I'm telling you right now, you watch, this is going to happen. With the 18th pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson mock draft, the New Orleans Saints select Tyler Smith, offensive tackle, Tulsa. They are drunk in love on this kid, and they think he's their left tackle of the future. Teron Armstead's not coming back with no Deshaun Watson.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. I firmly believe he's going to be with the Colts. They absolutely love this kid. And if there's one team in the league that routinely does weird shit in the first round, it's the New Orleans Saints. Peyton Turner. Case and point. They draft well, but they go way off the board sometimes. And this is every team I've talked to about, or every person I've talked to about New Orleans talks about how much they love this kid. They think he is an all-pro left tackle in the making. And he's not getting out of the first round. I had him to Cincinnati in my last mock. He has screamed up boards. No, 100% sure I understand why. I don't dislike him at all.
Right.
I think he has, there's merit to him. I get it. I don't see it this high, but I don't see any other way they procure him unless they make a move.
Especially over another guy who we're going to talk about in just a little bit.
Yeah, he's very scheme specific.
Yeah.
And it ain't New Orleans scheme.
All right, for the third pick in the first round by the Philadelphia Eagles at number 19.
With the 19th pick of the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson mock draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Trent McDuffie, cornerback, Washington. They're going to add a corner. Zach McPherson is their 2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
This kid's a number 1, come in immediately, and now you have to pick your poison. Look at the teams in this division. All right, you got the Cowboys with CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup. The Giants with Kenny Golladay, Sterling Shepard. The Washington Commanders with Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel. There's enough flexibility in Trent McDuffie that he can be the one that roams around. If you got a guy in the slot, he can play the guy in the slot. If he plays on the outside, he can play a guy on the outside. Philadelphia wants to come away with 3, no doubt, right now, starters. And if they go Ajabo, Trent McDuffie, and Devin Lloyd, you did that. And now your defense is infinitely better than it was a year ago.
Yep.
And you still have enough vets on this team that it's okay to start 3 rookies. Ajabo, the injury, we hope that there's nothing to it. Until I know, I can't really put anything into that.
Non-contact knee injuries, though, are always
Not
very
always.
concerning.
They're concerning,
right?
But they don't always end as badly as people think.
Mm-hmm. All right, with number 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers. God almighty.
You know exactly what this is.
Yeah, I know exactly what this is.
With the 20th pick of the most Deshaun Watson 2022 NFL mock draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Trevor Penning, big, gigantic mountain of a man from northern Iowa.
Which is, of course, the way this goes.
You got to think about what Pittsburgh. So, one of the drawbacks on Penning, there are some people that think he's so lead-footed. That's the reason New Orleans didn't take him. Mm-hmm. That's why they like Tyler Smith so much, because he's very mobile. Penning is mobile for his size, but he fits in a Pittsburgh, a Baltimore. That's where I had him forever. And some of the lure the lust has kind of fallen off that rose, and I don't know why, but I hear less about him, which tells me he's probably going to get pushed down. There's no way he falls past Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Because, first of all, this makes that entire line work swimmingly. Mm-hmm. Because now you'll have a Okorafor on the right side, Penning on the left, James Daniels at guard, Dan Moore at guard.
Kendrick Greene in the middle.
They signed us. I swear I thought they signed a center. I could be wrong on that. Maybe it is Kendrick Greene that I'm thinking of.
I mean, I know he plays for them.
He does play for them. Mason Cole. I knew there was another one. Mason Cole. Now you have a line that can run block. I like how that sets up for Najee Harris, who is going to be the focal point of this offense. Mm-hmm. You lost Juju Smith-Schuster. There's a receiver. I know for a fact they really like Justin Ross from Clemson. So I don't think they're going to look to replace that here. And if Penning's on the board, you can't bypass him. Yeah, I mean, he's too good to be here at 20.
Agreed.
And he feels a need. He would be a perfect pick for them.
At number 21, the New England Patriots.
Bet you know who this is, too.
Mm-hmm.
With the 21st pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson mock draft, the New England Patriots select Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State.
This is another one that once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you see him
he fits that scheme so well.
Once you see him in a Patriots uniform and think about him being thrown to by Mr. Tactician, Mac Jones, you can't unsee it.
It fits so well.
Mm-hmm.
It fits so well. And I'm warming up to Chris Olave. I was not as dead sold on him as I was. Matt Miller of ESPN has him going at 31.
That's
or
crazy.
32 or something like that.
That's
It
crazy,
was in the 30s. And I'm going to steal the same line that he said, because it's the best way I've heard this put. Every year when we put out mock drafts, there's a receiver that people go, they'll never last that far. And every single fucking year they do. Every year. Mm-hmm. I give you one from every year I've ever done this. They always last that long because there's so damn many of them. Now, New England, you can't afford to wait. Olave's a perfect fit. He's a perfect scheme fit. The Saban, Belichickian, Ohio State, high-level college football program connection. It makes all the sense in the world. Bill drafts two kinds of players. Guys that went to the biggest schools in college football or guys that went to Roast Beef Lafayette Technical Institute for the mentally insane.
Right. You've got all the Bama players, and then you got Kyle Duggar.
Yep. I love the fit with Olave. I think it would be a home run pick for them.
Agreed. At number 22, this is the pick that just changed hands yesterday with the trade of Davante Adams to the Las Vegas Raiders. So the Green Bay Packers come in at number 22.
Hey, you give up a receiver? With the 22nd pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson mock draft, the Green Bay Packers select Jameson Williams, wide receiver, Alabama.
Have to. Absolutely have to. How many times have we looked at this? Like last year in the first round when they took Eric Stokes. Like, what? You need weapons. And now that you've gotten rid of Davante Adams, you have no choice. I still think they should use both of their first-round draft picks on weapons, but that's not my choice to make. But Jameson Williams, I don't think you can go wrong.
I don't either. The thing with Jameson Williams is I firmly believe there will be two receivers. I don't think there's going to be two with both first-round picks. I've heard that a lot today. That doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I could see a vet, Will Fuller, of which Will Fuller does not necessarily pair as well with Jameson Williams. That could audible things, but they haven't done it yet. So I would have. There are a lot of guys I would like. Odell Beckham. I can't emphasize that enough. I know he's going to be reasonably expensive. Odell Beckham, Jameson Williams, Robert Tonyan, Aaron Jones. That's pretty formidable with the Lazard King.
Oh, so you think they're going to re-sign Tunyon?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
All right. At number 23.
Wait a minute. I don't think I did that. The graphic does the thing.
At number 23, the Arizona Cardinals.
With the 23rd pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson mock draft spectacular, the Arizona Cardinals select Daxton Hill, cornerback, safety, hybrid, mutant, Michigan.
Athletic freak.
Mm-hmm.
Smart kid.
He can play every position in the secondary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just telling you, if you want to know what his game looks like, it looks like Tyrann Mathieu. It's exactly who it reminds me of. I think he's more versatile than Tyrann Mathieu, and he's bigger than Tyrann Mathieu. I considered him at 14 to Baltimore. Seriously considered it.
Is that because of coach works there now?
That's part of it. That is part of it. Another part of it is I think that they're looking for a player like that. And his brother plays on the team. There are a lot of connections of Daxton Hill to Baltimore.
Right.
But then they signed Marcus Williams, and I went, no, I don't believe you'll be doing that. Not because they play the same position, but it would be reasonably hard to play them together.
Yeah, now they're absolutely loaded. They don't need to.
Yeah, it would be reasonably hard to play them together.
Yeah, I mean, if you find one in the draft, or the later rounds of the draft, you take a chance on that.
This is where we actually run out of graphics because now I've run out of time to keep editing them as we're doing this. So
gotcha.
They'll be superimposed afterwards.
At number 24, the Dallas Cowboys.
With the 24th pick in the post-Deshaun Watson 2022 NFL mock draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Devontae Wyatt from Georgia.
Hell yeah.
Fits that scheme really nicely.
Mm-hmm.
That would make up for Randy Gregory. Dan Quinn really likes multiple players. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's anything Devontae Wyatt can't do. He was the more productive of the two between him and Trayvon Walker.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't figure out why people seem to be so high on Trayvon Walker and so down on Devontae Wyatt. I cannot for the life of me figure that out.
It's the speed. The speed is the main difference between the two.
Woo, he runs a 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he has to track down a quarterback that lines up in a punt formation, that'll be really fucking relevant.
Devontae Wyatt
I see them as the same player.
He's an incredible football player, and I agree with you. I'm glad you said that because it took me the longest time to even remember the difference between the two.
I see them as the same player.
Walker's back in the game. Oh, no, that's Wyatt.
And here's the thing. I think they both play better on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them. Jacksonville will 100% try to play Trayvon Walker on the outside. And he can do it.
Yep.
I think they're going to be greatly disappointed in what they get.
Mm-hmm.
Conversely, and this is what draft slot changes. Dallas would be overjoyed. They'd be the happiest team in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another one of those. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it.
All right, at number 25, the Buffalo Bills on the clock.
With the 25th pick in the post-Deshaun Watson mock draft, the Buffalo Bills select Andrew Booth Jr., Clemson. There are a lot of varying grades on him, but losing Levi Wallace, which it still dumbfounds me that they let him walk out the door for $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
The Steelers signed him for 2 years, $4 million a year. That's nuts to me. But I look at Andrew Booth and go, this would be a good scheme fit. He plays nicely on the opposite side of
Tre'Davious White.
Tre'Davious White. I had Charvarius Ward in my head for some reason. He plays really nicely on the other side of Tre'Davious White.
Mm-hmm.
If anything ever happened to Tre'Davious White again, I think he could play as a 1. Best fits as a 2. But you look at Buffalo. Buffalo don't have a lot of holes. And they would like to find a right tackle here. Could still be Darrell Williams if they bring him back on a team-friendlier deal. And they believe in Spencer Brown. I'm not real sure why, but they do. And this is, to me, the biggest need on this team is another corner, and that's the best one on the board.
All right, let's get to number 26.
I think I've had this in every mock draft.
The Tennessee Titans.
With the 26th pick in the post-Deshaun Watson trade mock draft, the Tennessee Titans select Trey McBride, tight end, Colorado State.
All right, now earlier today they brought in Austin Hooper.
I know, and I don't care. Austin Hooper is the definition of a Band-Aid. Trey McBride is not a Band-Aid. I have never liked Austin Hooper, and I don't really see what it is that people see in him. The difference between him and Hayden Hurst is one of them's a slightly better blocker. And one apparently has a much better fastball. That's about it.
Austin's a better catcher of the football, though, isn't he?
Not really. He's had better opportunity. And I think he will run as the 1, McBride will run as the 2, and a year from now, McBride will be the guy. It takes longer for tight ends to acclimate to this league. It always has, and it always will. But McBride is a weapon, and McBride can be lined up as a receiver. I mean, I'm sure somebody's going to say, well, why do they not take a wide receiver right here? You name me who that's going to be. Not a whole lot of first-round graded wide receivers here.
Jahan Dotson comes to mind.
Who plays in the slot, and so does A.J. Brown. Cool, so now you're going to have to play one of them out of position.
I mean, A.J. plays on the outside a lot, doesn't he?
Who?
And doesn't A.J. play on the outside a lot?
No, he plays predominantly out of the slot.
Okay.
I can tell you the numbers on that. Most of his big plays come out of the slot. Let's see. Last year, A.J. Brown played. He did play more out wide than I thought he did. Man, that team needs. Well,
yeah.
Makes Jahan Dotson make a little bit more sense.
Treylon Burks would be another one.
Treylon Burks running so slow really fucked with some people.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't, but it will. And look, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be upset if they took Treylon Burks. I wouldn't be upset if they took Jahan Dotson. I did not realize how many snaps A.J. Brown played out, because he played predominantly out of the slot before this year. That might actually audible that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. You know what?
Fuck it.
We didn't have a graphic for it, so I can audible it. That's the beauty of live. With the 26th pick, the Tennessee Titans take Treylon Burks.
Nice. You went Treylon instead of Jahan Dotson. Okay. All right.
I like Treylon Burks better than Jahan Dotson.
Okay.
To me, Treylon Burks should not still be here. He is. He shouldn't be. Do I have to? I'm not hitting the button.
No, you don't need to hit the button again.
I changed it. It's the beauty of live. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
At number 27, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yep, this one's easy. With the 27th selection in the post-Deshaun Watson trade mock draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Zion Johnson, guard, Boston College.
Good. I love it. Ever since I've seen this kid at the at the combine, I was like, yeah, that needs to be my guy at the end of the first round to shore up that offensive line. Look, Aaron Stenny's fine and everything, but he's not Zion Johnson.
He's not fine either.
He's okay.
There's one great big hole on that line. It's a very good offensive line. And then you got a big poo at left guard. Well, Zion Johnson fills that. You could go defense here. You just seem to be patchworking everything on the defense. Signing Logan Ryan. That's a 1-year Band-Aid.
Yep.
You lost Jordan Whitehead. Wah.
The
corner. I mean, and the only other thing I considered here was a corner. Not really one that makes a whole lot of sense here. Yeah. Virtually every one of them would either be a reach or is not a scheme fit.
I've seen a lot of first-round grades on Kyler Gordon. So, or projections, I guess.
Yeah, and I'm not as bullish on him, and I would hate him in your scheme. I considered him with Arizona. I have a second-round grade on Kyler Gordon, and he goes very early in the second round. But I would not like him in that Todd Bowles deep zone bullshit defense you run.
Yeah,
it's just not what he does. So that's one of those I was talking about, that he's not a scheme fit.
Yeah. Also, Georgia boy, of course, would not
if you say Darian
oppose.
Kendrick, I'm gonna throw something at you.
No. I was going to say Lewis Sin at safety. That wouldn't be a bad replacement for Jordan Whitehead, because I think he'd do all the things that Jordan Whitehead does, and then he's a little bit more physical, a little bit more of a tackler.
I wouldn't be averse to it, but I would still go Zion Johnson.
Right. All right. And I don't hate it at all. Zion Johnson going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Excellent choice. At number 28.
With the 28th pick, the Green Bay Packers select Tyler Linderbaum, center, Iowa.
Now, wait. When we did our head-to-head mock draft, Tyler Linderbaum went in the top 10.
Yep.
What has happened with the talk around him?
Every one of these we've done, anybody whose opinion I value more than that of a bottle of salad dressing has said you have Tyler Linderbaum too high.
Okay.
Yes, he is one of the safest players in this draft. He also plays center, and for whatever reason, the analytics guys just... What's funny is in the same breath, they will say a center is as important as a left tackle.
Yes.
And then they will devalue a center, which I do not for the life of me understand.
I don't either.
But he ain't falling past this. I mean, Green Bay's the drop dead spot, especially now that they have two first round picks.
Mm-hmm.
It was very obvious that they missed Corey Linsley last year. This is a great replacement. I think this is something that would make Aaron Rodgers very happy. And you're not trotting out two rookie wide receivers in your base 11. It's just not. So it's not going to be two receivers back to back in the first round.
At number 29, it's the Miami Dolphins.
The Miami Dolphins! With the 29th selection in the post-Deshaun Watson 2022 mock draft, the Miami Dolphins select Bernard Raymond, offensive tackle, Central Michigan.
All right. Another mountain of a man.
He is a gigantic human. There's also something else about him that once I point this out, you're never going to see it. He looks like Trent Williams. He has feet like Trent Williams, and he is mobile like Trent Williams.
Really? Okay.
It is very important in this zone blocking scheme. It's one of the things that attracted Mike LaFleur to the Jets was how mobile Mekhi Becton was, except last year when he couldn't walk. And I look at Raymond and go, this is one of the few places I think he would play tackle. Might start on the right side. I don't know. They went big game hunting on Teron Armstead and struck out. Now, if they were to sign him tomorrow, then obviously that changes things. As it sits right now, you still need a piece to tie this together. Tyler Linderbaum would have been a nice tie-it-together piece. Mm-hmm. But you also need a tackle. And Liam Eichenberg needs to be on the right side. To me, you put Bernard Raymond on the left, you put Eichenberg on the right, and away you go.
Yeah.
He has more value in this kind of scheme. He's very raw. He was a tight end not 2 or 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. He's going to have to learn the technique of the position. And I'm fine with that because this is a different way to play tackle than a lot of teams in the NFL. So I can teach him all of that, and we'll grow together.
At number 30, the Kansas City Chiefs.
This one's just going to piss you off. With the 30th pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson trade mock draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select George Karlaftis, edge, Purdue. This is the player I've been talking about that people seem to be much more down on him than I am. Mm-hmm. I do not know why. I cannot for the life of me figure out why. I watched every second of his workout. I have seen enough tape on him to feel very comfortable. I have him, Ajabo, and Jermaine Johnson right beside each other, and I seem to be the only one. So I've been hearing this for a couple months that you got him too high, and I thought, like Drake London and a few others, that everybody would come to my direction. Well, now we've gotten to that point of, okay, if everybody's saying this, then the chances of me being right and everybody else being wrong are slim.
So is it the fact that he's not as athletic as these other guys?
I guess. He's raw. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I see a middle of the first round, high-impact edge rusher. A lot of people see him as Derek Barnett, a guy that he'll be fine. He's never going to be great at anything. I think on the other side of Frank Clark and Chris Jones, this is an ideal fit for him. There's also a lot of people that don't want him to stand up, and I'm one of them. So I don't want you standing up in a 3-4. I want you handing the dirt 4-3. Then that's what Kansas City would allow.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into number 31, the Cincinnati Bengals with the 31st pick in the draft.
It's not the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh, we have a trade. The Indianapolis Colts are going to trade with the Cincinnati Bengals for the number 31 pick here, and they are going to get a number 2 and the number 3. So they'll trade the 42nd pick and the 73rd pick to the Cincinnati Bengals to get the 31st pick.
Yeah, this year you get 2 picks for your 1. And I think both picks at the back end of the first round are very likely to get moved this way. So, with the 31st pick, the Indianapolis Colts select Kenny Pickett, quarterback, Pittsburgh. 5th-year option.
Mm-hmm.
I still think Matt Ryan's probably going to be the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. If he's not, it's going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. And you need somebody to bridge the gap. Because, and look, I like Kenny Pickett way better playing for a dome team than I like him anywhere else.
Right.
I think Indianapolis sees that the same way. And I'll be honest with you, I won't be shocked if they do this and he's the starter. If they strike out on Jimmy Garoppolo, they just look at it and go, hell, we got 5 years of Kenny Pickett. Even the option year wouldn't be that bad. The value's too good, and they have to go do it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be trotting Sam Ehlinger out there as the starter.
I can tell you definitively they won't be doing that.
Right.
But they seem to be mortified by this Jimmy Garoppolo thing. The injury.
The shoulder surgery.
They seem to just be Seacrest out on that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's because they've had too much bad luck with hurt quarterbacks. I don't know.
Right. There's only so many times that you can get bit on that.
Rob Johnson asked in the comments, no Sam Howell. It's about a 50-50 split, and I think Indy has Sam Howell, or has Kenny Pickett higher.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody from that organization has told me that, but people that know infinitely better than I do have said if Indianapolis ends up with a quarterback out of this draft, it'll be Kenny Pickett.
The Detroit Lions own the 32nd pick in the first round of the NFL draft.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't. They got a trade. They trade out with the New Orleans Saints, who will give up the 49th overall pick and send it to the Detroit Lions, along with their number 1 pick for next year.
And with the 32nd pick in the 2022 post-Deshaun Watson trade mock draft, the jilted New Orleans Saints select Sam Howell, quarterback, North Carolina.
So there's Sam Howell rounding out that first round of the draft. And again, that's 5th-year option territory. You get back up there to get the extra year on the quarterback. And Sam Howell in that New Orleans scheme, how do you like it?
I love it. I think he would fit quite nicely with New Orleans. And here's the thing. Whether it's Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston, whatever the case may be, I believe New Orleans has made it pretty damn clear that they don't believe in Jameis Winston as the long-term starter. Mm-hmm. So, all right, let's say you bring him back on a 1-year deal. How much money do you think it's going to be for? $8 million?
Maybe.
Woo. With incentives? He's not your long-term guy. You wouldn't have been this in on Deshaun Watson if you thought he was the long-term solution. So, all right, let's say Sam Howell sits behind him. You obviously don't believe in Taysom Hill either. And you're planning on playing him as that tight end move, whatever the hell you plan on doing with him. His naked pictures must have run out with Sean Payton. So
right.
I look at Sam Howell and go, this is a player that fits into what New Orleans wants to do because they want to run the football. They want to run the football. They want to play good defense. That's the reason you hired Dennis Allen. And I look at how he fits. This gives you a year to add weapons. Fun story about the New Orleans Saints. They're $15 million over the cap next year.
Mm-hmm.
You can't keep playing this game. You restructured all this money to fit Deshaun Watson in. Well, he gave you the big old Stone Cold Steve Austin double bird. You got to do something.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, this rounded out nicely to the end. The quarterbacks are going to go somewhere. They're not all going to fall into the second and third round. I also think there's an entire possibility that not one of them goes, other than Malik Willis, inside the top 30. Those two, the Bengals pick at 31 and the Lions pick at 32, because the Lions pick at 34.
Mm-hmm.
So for them, that 5th-year option, they ain't taking a quarterback. So they can just sit here and go, well, let's figure it out. In this scenario, the Lions traded back to 34 and took Kyler Gordon. It's a starter for them.
Yeah.
It's a starter for them. And now you're there's the value for the Saints, that fifth-year value with Howell is worth that extra first-round pick because they think in the shitty NFC, they're still a playoff team. And I'm not sure that I disagree with them. I mean, you got to think, if you add up the 7 playoff teams in the NFC, you get very Washington Commander, New Orleans Saint, Atlanta Falcon-y very quick.
Yes. All right. That'll do it for the first round of the completely live, adjusted a bit.
It was adjusted on the fly, and my computer didn't incinerate. Thank you, Jason Trump.
It's progress in the NFL mock draft post the Deshaun Watson trade. And we appreciate everybody being along with us on the ride on this happy hour on a Friday. Enjoy your weekend, everybody, and we will be back with you, of course, at 3 o'clock on Monday afternoon on ESPN Asheville. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. We'll see you next time.